Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Glad everybody's here. Hope you're having a good weekend. Big concert going on in downtown. I can't remember the band that's playing down there, but they're making a racket loud enough that I can hear the drums and everything. I'm way down by Husson, so I mean it's just yeah, it's of course the river is just not right, just right here. You know, right across the road we have the river, so I imagine sound travels up that river, you know, pretty good. You know, I was there's a on the pavement on the road on the Hammond Street. So when you go into downtown Bangor, the Hammond Street, they had painted a rainbow flag on the street itself for, you know, the gay community and stuff like that. And now people have been vandalizing it. When they drive over it, they stop and they hit the gas, and they spin their tires going over it. And they've been doing this now. They've repainted it at least twice. And now they're starting to, you know, think maybe we should just, you know, get rid of it, you know, maybe paint it up on a building or something like that. But yeah, there's been shit like that going on down there. I mean, you just, you know, there's never going to be a time when there's going to be people that are ever going to fucking not do something like that, you know. You just have people of low IQ who try to substitute knowledge for you know, bigotry. And they'll do shit like that. We have that same problem right here. Even though it's a small town and is, you know, not like a big city, we still have issues of that shit here going on. So yeah, it's terrible. But you know, you would think they'd put cameras there, right, to catch the people doing it, because you can't just do it and then disappear. I mean, you physically have to stop your vehicle and then gun it, you know, just to put a skid mark all across that, you know. And they've had to go back and repaint that over and over, you know, and it's just ridiculous. They say it costs the city money. I don't know how much money, but now they're just saying, well, maybe we should just, you know, not repaint it and build a paint somewhere else where they can't, you know. But they'll find a way to vandalize that too. Okay, people are vicious whenever they want to be, and it doesn't matter where they put the rainbow flag. It's always going to be a target for people's bigotry. You know, whatever. Anyway, I went down to Texas Roadhouse today to have something to eat. And while I was there, I mean, the place was packed because apparently there was some high school graduations today, and then of course the concert, right? So a lot of people showed up down there to eat. The place was full. Sat at the bar, and the bar was full. I had a seat. Two people left, and immediately two people took a seat. And there was a guy and a woman sitting next to me. You know, like guys here and the woman's next to him. Okay. And the guy, you know, he was he seemed personable. You know, minute they sat down, they started yakking to each other. They didn't know each other. They were just, you know, they came in separately, and they they just started talking. I mean, Jesus, yeah. Some people can do that, in public and not feel, shy or anything. But anyway, I'm just sitting there eating and listening, and they started talking about Graham Plattner and and the shit that's been coming out about him, and they were sitting here back and forth about it. They seem to be of the same opinion about it. That they didn't like what was coming out about it, and they were, I'm not sure if they even wanted to vote for him or or vote for somebody else. And anyway, that was the conversation pretty much, and that it got me thinking about that. And so anyway, I went online. I picked up this video from Kyle Kulinski, who basically talks about that right there, and all the shit that goes around that. And so I want to play that. It's like 15 minutes, okay? And then after that, we'll come back and discuss it. So let's go to the video.
So the Graham Plattner scandal has backfired spectacularly, and the exact opposite happened as the smear merchants wanted to happen. So let me go ahead and walk you through this. First, let me show you. Senator John Fetterman goes off on Graham Plattner. Quote, "Where's P. Hustle?" I guess that was his nickname on one of the hookup apps, and so they think this is like an epic burn. He continues, "We didn't match up on Kick, so I haven't seen him yet," Fetterman says, adding that he'd love to meet him. "I mean, he's a tough guy. When I was growing up, if someone had a Nazi tattoo, you pretty much assume he's a Nazi sympathizer. He expressed frustration with how I dress, and this asshole is on Kick, sexting to a dozen women." So as I pointed out, as you can see here right underneath, I said, literal bloodlusting child mass murder supporter. Bro, can you believe the affairs this guy had, bro? Can you believe that, bro? Here's the most disturbing point. Everybody who's accusing Plattner of being a Nazi, they 100% know with certainty he's not a Nazi. So it is the most dishonest political attack I think I've ever seen. When you know for sure the person is not a Nazi, but you're still hurling accusations of him being a Nazi, that just means you're dishonest. That just means you're disingenuous. That just means you're full of shit. That just means you're going after the lowest common denominator, most dipshit, dumbass attacks I've ever seen in my life. That's what that is. And it also shows you they actually can't discuss the substance. And it's not a coincidence, by the way, that Donald Trump's favorite Democrat, who Trump is literally in the midst of recruiting to become a Republican, is the one who's leading the charge against Graham Plattner. That's not a fucking coincidence. Because remember, the concern a lot of people have had about Plattner is, oh, I think he's going to do an about face and become the next Fetterman. Really? If that's the case, why does Fetterman himself fucking despise him? It's almost like he's the opposite of John Fetterman in every imaginable way. And of course, John Fetterman doesn't like him. The real reason John Fetterman doesn't like him is because Graham Plattner is anti-Israel, and he's anti-genocide, and he's anti-war. And all of those things, Fetterman takes the opposite position. He's pro-war, he's pro-Israel, he's pro-genocide. He's also the most pro-Trump Democrat that there is. He has more as a Democrat, Fetterman has more kind things to say about MAGA and Trump than he does about Graham Plattner, who every time Graham opens his mouth, he's ranting against war, he's ranting against Israel, he's ranting against the billionaires, he's ranting in defense of minority communities. That's the other thing that drives me crazy is when people pretend like, because he's got like the gruff MAGA white guy aesthetic, therefore, like he's not woke enough when it comes to minority communities. He literally has it in his repertoire when he gives speeches and when he does interviews and when he does town hall events. One of his main lines is, people need to understand, minority communities are not the problem. Trans kids are not the problem. Black people, immigrants, minorities are not the problem. Muslims are not the problem. Jews are not the problem. The problem are the billionaires. He says that shit. He says it. But somehow that doesn't matter, and he's somehow like anti-woke and fucking right-wing on social issues when he's not. The only issue he is right-wing on is guns, and he fucking comes from Maine, which is like, of course somebody from Maine is going to be like that, right? But here you have Fetterman, the stroke-having, brain-not-working, fucking Zionist, Nazi freak ass going after Graham Plattner and thinking it's some epic burn that he had a sexting affair. Like, give me a fucking joke, bro. Give me a joke. Give me a break. You are a joke is a better way to say it. All right, more. So I'll also show you this. Online is not real life. Mainers don't give a shit about a candidate's private sex life. So this is what I've seen too, is that online you got a million people talking about this, taking all different sorts of positions. There's a bunch of outrage. There's a bunch of anger. There's a bunch of people assuming he already lost the race, which is like fucking crazy to me. Because it's like, You're just making that up. Like, you're literally just making that up. He's up double fucking digits. Even if he were to lose 10 points, it's like he still wins, right? So I don't know what the panicking is for. Well, I know what the panicking is for. It's like they actually want him to lose. So they're trying to will that into existence, and they want Susan Collins to win. You have the Republicans going after him, and you have the liberals who wanted Mills to win, who are so butthurt that now they won't support Plattner. They all want Susan Collins to win, even though they won't tell you that, okay? Well, listen to this. Here's a local news segment, and they explain what's actually happening in Maine.
So we're hearing directly from Mainers who are processing the latest scandal to rock Graham Plattner's Senate campaign.
That's not breaking news for any politician, to tell you the truth.
I couldn't care less, honestly.
I mean, look at our president and his track record of things that he's tweeted online or what he said about women.
Many voters in Maine tell us Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner's latest controversy will not change their vote.
Separate what somebody's doing in their personal life and the mistakes or whatever that they've done from how they run politically.
I don't think any differently about him since that story came out.
At this point, I don't think anything would shock anyone. After JFK, after Clinton, after Trump, there's been bipartisan sex scandals of all kinds.
How do you feel about Senator Susan Collins?
I think it's time that we replace him.
This is literally like across the board. Everybody's like, yeah, whatever, bro. I don't care. Hey, at least he wants to tax the rich. Like, this is what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, she's done some good, but there's some things I don't agree with, but that's me. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Graham Plattner is going to be the guy or not. I mean, I have no idea. We just have to wait and see and find out.
I'm not really too excited about that kind of thing. I mean, it's a red flag, but at the end of the day, be interested to see what his policies and take are on what we have going on with affordability, housing, and other things that bother the state.
The voters we talked to said it won't be changing their opinion of him.
The fact that he might have been sexting some people isn't indicative of how I think he would be representing me.
Some say it's a distraction.
I don't think that the DNC supported him from the beginning, and I think it's just kind of more dirty tricks.
I've spoken to dozens of voters here this morning, both on camera and off camera, and I asked them the same question. Do they think Plattner should drop out? And frankly, across the board, both Republican and Democratic voters have said they don't think he should.
Both Republican and Democratic voters are like, meh, whatever. I mean, look, it's another example of online is not real life. I mean, sometimes it feels like it is. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a mix. But like in this instance, it's a bunch of fucking babbling and nonsense. And then when you actually talk to the people who matter, they're like, are we fucking 5 years old here? Again, I refuse to live in a world anymore where there are different standards for Democrats and Republicans. And that's what we're looking at, is different standards for Democrats and Republicans. So Trump gets to be a war criminal and a pedophile and a rapist, but Graham Plattner couldn't sext 6 adult women consensually, right? And by the way, I'm not condoning that behavior. Obviously, he should have been faithful, and like, it is to some extent a red flag, right? But having said that, what else are you going to do? Are you going to write in fucking Shaggy from Scooby-Doo? You're going to write in Janet Mills? You're going to fucking support Susan Collins? Like, I'm sorry, but do you believe him or do you not believe him when he says what he's about, which is anti-war, which is anti-genocide, which is pro-raising taxes on the billionaires, pro-union, pro-higher wages? I think worst case scenario, he votes like a bog standard Democrat, which is obviously 10 trillion, zillion, quadrillion times better than any MAGA cuck, which is exactly what Susan Collins is. So it's not landing, bro. The shit is not landing. But the plot thickens. Ready? Nathan Bernard. Susan Collins had a long-term affair with her current husband, marrying him in 2012 when he divorced his wife, who was dying of cancer. And then this guy right here, he is, I believe somebody said this guy's like a big journalist in Maine. Like he's a guy that's in the know. Susan Collins should be careful about throwing stones from glass houses when it comes to issues of infidelity. It's been an open secret in Washington, D.C. for decades, but the Wall Street Journal and New York Times have never probed into it. Wonder why? And then sharing here, New York Times says, the couple met in 1974 when Miss Collins was an intern in the office of Mr. Cohen, then a Maine congressman. The exact date of Thomas Daffron's divorce from his first wife, Margaret Corey, is not a matter of public record, though it occurred sometime prior to his marriage to U.S. Senator Susan Collins in August 2012. In other words, I don't want to hear it, bro. Susan Collins herself also engaged in some, infidelity where the guy literally left his wife with cancer. Like, I gotta be honest, that sounds even worse, right? I wouldn't bring it up. It wouldn't be a deal breaker if that person had good policies. But, like, again, glass house, yada, yada, et cetera, you get it. Okay, more. They're getting so desperate to try to take down Plattner. Ready? New from me in the Washington Free Beacon right-wing outlet. Morris Katz, a top advisor to embattled Maine Senate candidate Graham Plattner, admitted in a 2019 blog post that he has also sent explicit material to people in the past. Quote, "I've sent nudes and I've received nudes," Katz said. Why are we talking about this? What's the scandal? Grown man sends and receives nudes consensually? Like, what are we doing here? What do you live in, like 1937 or something? Like, I got news for you. Everybody who's an adult in the year 2026, not everybody, I'll go 80% or so have sent nudes or received nudes. Like, it's just a thing that happens in the modern day and age. That's like how it works. In fact, to not have that happen at all, that's actually the weird thing. So why are we talking about this? Why are we fucking doxing this poor guy's sex life? Why is this an issue? Is that supposed to be like nobody's ever allowed to ever send and receive nudes, even if it's consensual, even if you're adult? Like, what are we doing here, bro? Seriously, what are we doing? But this is how desperate they are. By the way, somebody also just wrote a hit piece on Hassan, and the hit piece was like, hey, he jacks off and he has sex. What? Like, what are we doing? What? Of course he does. He's a grown man. So, like, grown men do shit like that. What are you talking? Oh my God. Oh my word. I'm going to have an aneurysm live on air. So the other day, the head of the NRSC, the Senate Republicans, they say, gonna be a long day for Graham Plattner tomorrow. And you had all these liberal accounts, online liberal accounts that were like, see, we told you should have went with Mills. We told you this guy's a disaster. We told you they're going to take him down. We told you all the oppo is going to work. And they assumed that like another big story is going to come out about Plattner that like is going to destroy him, right? Well, what did the NRSC mean when they said that? Here's what happened the next day. Outside the DSCC headquarters where Plattner is meeting with Democratic senators. And it's just like a bunch of loser protesters. One's holding a sign that says Plattner is a fraud. One says Plattner can't kick his scandals. Kick is the name of like one of the hookup sites he was on, so they think it's like, you know, they think that's a gotcha. There's a picture of his Kick profile where he's showing his he doesn't have a shirt on and he's got a towel on. This guy's dressed like that. They're calling him, they're trying to say he's a Fredo, which is literally just a flat out lie. It's just a total lie. There's no evidence for that whatsoever. And it's ironic because all of the people in this picture suck off Donald J. Trump. Suck off Donald J. Trump and are part of the party that just ousted Thomas Massie because Thomas Massie wanted to release the fucking Epstein files. Okay? I don't want to hear shit from Republicans on anything when it comes to morality, when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to ethics. You can shut the fuck up, Ski, Foreverington. Okay? You understand me? You're not serious people. You're the dumbest people in the world. But this is what they meant when they said, like, Plattner's gonna have a bad day tomorrow. It's like, what, 12 idiots out there in fucking towels who are lying about him? These are the same people that were yelling at Bernie when Bernie was like, are you Republicans? No thank you. Don't need a lecture from you about morality. Bye. This is the same people that were going after Bernie. Okay. Sludge reports. The dark money groups amplifying attacks against Graham Plattner are part of a network tied to pro-Israel lobby groups, AIPAC, and Foundation for Defense of Democracies. No shit. So, of course, the Epstein-class billionaires are going to go all in trying to defeat this guy because he's going to fucking stand up to them. He's going to raise their taxes. He's going to be a real one. You also have the military-industrial complex and the Israel lobby, who, of course, is all in against him because he said we shouldn't send any money, not a penny, not a motherfucking penny, not a penny to Israel. And then finally, I'll end on this note. You have this guy, Jeremy Fassler, who I believe is a liberal. You guys are going to want to shove your head against a concrete wall when you hear this. He says, Graham Plattner is just the latest manifestation of a desire to recenter white masculinity in the Democratic Party. And he has all the same weaknesses of other avatars of masculinity consultants have thrown at voters. And the title is Graham Plattner and the Rise of Democratic Toxic Masculinity. Are we really doing this as fascism is rapidly taking over this country? Is that what we're doing? Are we actually doing this as innocent immigrants are being frog marched into concentration camps and they're being tortured and raped? Are we really doing this as Trump is protecting the Epstein-class cabal of pedophile rapists? Are we really doing this as Trump launches a new war every other week and is illegally attacking Iran and bombing schools and hospitals? Are we really doing this as Trump and his billionaire buddies loot the treasury and rob us fucking blind? Are we really doing this as we're on the brink of a fucking Great Depression because of Trump's incompetence and stupidity and mismanagement? Are we really trying to kneecap the only Democrat that can take down Susan Collins in this moment when the whole fucking control of the Senate might come down to this? And you're going to talk about democratic toxic masculinity? Oh my word. Oh no. Oh no. I'm sorry. We left this shit back in woke 1.0. I guess you haven't got the motherfucking memo, bro. This is left back in woke 1.0. Now we're in woke 2.0. This shit is known as dark woke, meaning all the Republicans can suck my nuts from the back. That's what that means. Meaning, we don't fucking police each other. Like, excuse me, did you just call Donald Trump fat? Because that's actually really crude and fat-phobic. I don't give a fuck. He's a fat, pedophile, war criminal, rapist, racist, fascist, con man. Who are we kidding? They're every negative thing in the book. I will call them every negative thing in the book. I will say that Stephen Miller is a disgusting, ugly little twerp fuck, okay? And you want to call me toxically masculine for doing it? That's your problem. That's a you problem. That's not a me problem, okay? And the fact of the matter is, most in the Democratic base are with us now, or with me now, or with the uncensored leftists who are telling the truth. See, it's just a disgusting hit piece, trying to use identity politics and woke 1.0 language to take down the only hope we have of actually defeating MAGA fascism. It's a necessity to take back the Senate in order to defeat MAGA fascism. You are going to do this as opposed to, I don't know, you should write a think piece about the fascism of Susan Collins, or how she ends up helping toxic masculinity because she emboldens MAGA fascism. How about that think piece? No, you have a bone to pick because you wanted Mills to win. Mills didn't. She shit the bed. Now you're furious that leftists got the better of you. And so your leftist derangement syndrome has overtaken your rational brain, and you're fine with shitting on the left, even if that means letting MAGA continue to run this country into a fucking ditch and destroy everything. It's humiliating. It's embarrassing. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. And allow me to say on the record right the fuck now, if Janet Mills had beaten Graham Plattner, I'd be fucking arguing for her like nobody's business. I'd break out my motherfucking pom-poms and be on air like, go Janet, go Janet. Why? Because we need to defeat the fascists. The fascists, the imperialists, the warmongers. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, but thank you for your contribution to the discourse. Very nice of you. Oh, look, he's gruff. He looks like a MAGA guy, even though he's the opposite of that. Therefore, he's toxically masculine, and nobody should take him seriously, and he's a bad guy. Shut the fuck up, these people. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I don't know why I'm all mad. The scandal has backfired spectacularly. I didn't even show you all of this stuff. I had like 3 or 4 more things where they spoke to voters in Maine, and virtually across the board, they're like, I don't fucking care. Lower the gas prices, bitch. And that's where we're at now. So the dirty tricks aren't working. And if anything, Democrats should be happy, because what this shows is we all marveled at the fact that whatever people threw at Trump, he ended up winning no matter what. And it was like, that's crazy. Like, how is that possible? And how come we can't mimic that Teflon ability on our side? Well, now we finally have somebody who does kind of mimic that, and all of a sudden you don't like it. And it's like, I don't know. I would kind of like it if every Democratic candidate was this motherfucking Teflon. Wouldn't you? If you want to defeat MAGA, you would believe that. But maybe you don't. Maybe you don't.
Hey, y'all, do me...
Yeah, Kyle is kind of exhausting, isn't he? He has so much to say. But at the same time, he's right about what he's saying, okay? In his way that he delivers his message, he is right. There is a double standard out there, okay? And a big one. And yes, you know, so much, I think with the what do they call it? The texting, him texting another woman or something like that behind his wife's back. His wife said that, yes, they made up about that. That happened years ago, but they're okay. You know, they've gotten past it. So she confirmed it, so that's true. Okay? My opinion ain't my business, okay? We're not asking him to give marriage advice to people. We're not electing him to do that. Okay, his job is to take care of, okay, us, all of us here in this state, to represent us. Okay, and the things that he's been saying, hey, people have been agreeing with what he's been saying. Okay, until, well, a few months ago when the things started to get pretty hot there, you know, the Republican, the Susan Collins people, the super PAC has been throwing out a lot of mud there to try to, you know, taint his image, because, yeah, he isn't all for these wars and stuff that Trump's got us involved in, which a lot of people in the state are not happy with, because gas prices are like at $4.20 a gallon here, okay, and food prices are up, and people are just not able to, you know, make ends meet. And all I got to say to that is that's not new to this state. I mean, the gas prices being where they are, yeah, that's new. But it's always been a struggle in this state to make ends meet, okay? And it doesn't matter if we got a Democrat or a Republican as a president, it's always the fucking same, okay? So, you know, but that's just side, but you know, with Graham Plattner, okay, remember I said about changing the diaper, okay? Yeah, we still have to do that. Okay. Susan Collins is not a better choice in this situation, okay? Why? Because up to now, she has been backing everything Trump's been doing, and look where that's got us, all of us, not just Maine, but the whole country. She only voted against him at times when her vote didn't matter. Okay, when it was safe to vote against him. That way she can brag about that to bolster her image politically. Okay, but she never would vote against him if it came down to a deciding vote and she was the one that had to go yet. She would always support Trump. Okay, but you know, like I said, if it didn't matter, then she would safely say no. But a lot of times she'd come out and say, I'm concerned about this, I'm concerned about that. Okay, and then all of a sudden she does exactly what she's concerned about. Okay, and it's like, you know, this is ridiculous. It's driving us nuts in this state. We don't know what to make of her these days, okay? Except the fact that she's obviously been there too long in D.C. She's learned a lot of bad habits down there, and it's time to get rid of her. I remember when she first ran for that seat, okay? She promised, I'm only going to serve 2 terms and then that's it. Really? How many times has she run for that seat and kept it, okay? No, she's a very good manipulator. Okay, so good that she's managed to keep her seat for all these decades. I mean, it's like, Jesus. But it's time for her to go. It's time for her to go. And it's time for the state to finally, I mean, what are we going to have to do? Wait for her to die? And before we decide to, you know, no. People, before Graham Plattner threw his name into the ring, okay, to run for the Senate, people in the state were really pissed off with her, okay? They were saying, I can't wait because I'm voting against her. That's how mad people were in this state. Her approval in Maine was very low. Okay, maybe not as low as Trump's, but low enough where, you know, she's nervous. Okay, but she's been here before. Okay, the last time she had to run for that seat, she ran against a woman. I can't remember her fucking name, and that woman was ahead of her by 7, 8, 9 points, okay, in the polling, and she still got beat. Okay, right now they're saying Plattner's ahead in one poll, and then a Fox News poll put them neck and neck. Okay, they're playing that game over there at Fox. So I don't really know, you know, what's going on, because polling these days, you can't trust it. You can't trust the numbers in most cases, especially when they're doing this neck and neck shit. You know, okay, they just want it. They're doing that to try to energize you to get to vote. But a lot of people in Maine don't want to see her go back. But now when Graham Plattner's in there, at first they liked him. A lot of people in the state liked him, okay, because he was saying all the things that people have been saying to themselves for months now. Why we are where we are and what we need to do to change that. And he's been echoing that. Okay? Yeah, he's young, and he's made some mistakes and stuff like that, but we're not voting for a priest here to represent us. We're voting for a person who will do the job to fix things. Okay? I mean, let's take a look. Let me put this out here. If you were applying for a job and the guy interviewing you asked you, well, did you ever cheat on your wife with texting or anything like that, or what's that tattoo there? Would you feel comfortable being interviewed that way? Like you're saying, well, you're not looking at me, okay? And what the hell does that question about what I did with my wife got to do with anything with my job here? You know, that's how you got to look at this. But that's how Republicans distract us. Okay, you see, they want to throw that shit at us, and they're the last people on earth, okay, who should have the right to even bring that up, okay, especially after the time we've spent with Donald Trump and the so strong support that he got from these so-called moralists out there in the Republican Party. Okay, they're the last people we should ever listen to right now. So it's very funny that, you know, they're looking at Graham Plattner and they're accusing him of cheating and accusing him of, oh, he's got a swastika and stuff. It's like, you guys, you're describing what you're talking about Democrats were saying about Trump and then some, okay? You know, we were talking about the pedophilia, the Jeffrey Epstein shit and stuff, and none of that even mattered to you then. The fact that he could be a pedophile didn't matter to you at that time. All right? So you've got no right now. You don't have the right to sit here and judge anybody for those kind of things because you people made it okay, right? Remember what I told you about when you set a standard, you know, people are going to, you know, always judge you by with the new standard that you place yourself at. So if it's okay for one of your candidates to be a pedophile, a rapist, okay, to cheat on his taxes and do all these things, if it's okay, then you've got no right to sit here and criticize Graham Plattner for doing things like texting behind his wife's back, of all things, okay? That's not our business, not your business. It has nothing to do with his job, okay? If he was committing a crime like pedophilia and stuff, yes, that is our business, and we don't want criminals sitting in our fucking representatives, in our seat of representatives. We don't want that, but you guys are okay with that. So you can't judge us. You got no right to judge us. You got a long ways to go before you can ever earn that right again. You got to change yourselves from within before you can come out with that same old bullshit tactic of trying to make Democrats look like the devil again. Okay, you've already proven you're the devil. You're the real devil. And that's one of the most powerful things about the devil is distraction. To make you think it's somebody else. That's what the devil does the best. Okay, and the devil is alive and well in your fucking right-wing, you know, nut group there, MAGA, okay? It's alive and well there. Everything that this country is supposed to be against, you guys are for. So don't come to us with your little cry and tears. Oh, fuck you, okay? You don't get the right to say that anymore. You guys lost that, all right? You lost that high ground, okay? We're claiming that now. It's our turn. You guys fucked it up. So people, you know, that are used to thinking or being led by the nose by these right-wing groups, they're going to have to cut the fucking cord, okay? They've led you down into the problems you're living with right now. That's what they've done to you. Now, you can save yourself by ignoring that fucking cabal. Stop watching Fox News. Stop listening to propaganda, okay? And start reading what's happening in your local newspaper, what's happening and why things are the way they are and where it's rooted at. When you start thinking on that level and stop listening to other people's big mouth trying to feed you opinions, okay, then you're going to be ahead of the curve. Okay? You're going to be ahead of the curve because that's how you dethrone the Republican Party, is you don't become a victim of it. You refuse to be a victim of them. When you stop letting that happen, you're going to be a much better person to decide who gets to be what in this country, okay? And, you know, honestly, I think that's what we need to be doing here is, should we stick with the person we don't like right now just because the other person seems to be the new bad guy, or are we going to just say, okay, we've had enough of this one, we need to try this guy. We can always vote him out the next time around if he ain't what he says he's going to be, okay? Well, we never did that with Susan Collins, but we can do that with Graham Plattner. If we put him in there and he fucks it up, hey, out the door you go, okay? We're not going to have to be stuck with him for 50 years, okay? So, like I said, now's the time we need to change the diaper. Now's the time we got to change the diaper. Yeah, change comes hard. People don't like to make waves, but guess what? We're in a fucking tsunami here. Okay? The waves are being made with the person we got, and we should have got rid of them a long time ago and changed the diaper then. But now it's time to do it. We can't avoid that. We have to do that. Susan Collins has to go, okay? She's been there long enough, and now she's an enabler to Donald Trump and doing it in a bad way, making it harder for this country. She's not suffering from this. She hardly ever comes to this fucking state. She's always in D.C. all the fucking time. I don't think she even knows what the hell's going on in this state most of the time. And that being said, she probably isn't fully aware about what's happening in the country. Okay? I don't know if people are calling her and yelling at her or whatever, or doing something, but she simply seems very detached from reality, just like Trump is. I mean, she's very, I don't know what the hell to say about her, but except that she's not the person that this state voted for originally. She's changed a lot. Okay? She's a member of the swamp, whatever you want it, whatever you figure the swamp to be. She's the swamp. She's in that now, just like Trump is the swamp. And we ran campaigns on draining the swamp, and it hasn't drained, it's just gotten bigger. Okay? So when people start talking about, changing things for the better, to pull out of this fucking mess overseas so we can save our money and, and put it back where it needs to go, okay? We shouldn't ignore those messages simply because, oh, he was texting behind his wife's back. Okay? It's like saying, oh, he stole candy from a fucking big... that's really, it's not our business. And it doesn't have anything to do with his job, okay? Whatever he did when he was younger, that's his fucking business, okay? Somebody else will judge him for that later, but that's not us. That's not on us to do that. We need him in there to help us out, okay? And he says he wants to do it, so let's give him the chance. It's a better fucking agenda than what Susan Collins has been doing, which her campaign's been doing is trying to say she did this, she did that. All these things happened way, way long ago, not now. Right now, she's undone a lot of stuff that she was supporting then. The environmental stuff, Trump's undoing all that, and she supported that too. So whatever they're saying she accomplished, she's undoing it with his help. So she ain't what they're saying on the TV and the advertisements. Okay, she's not that anymore. She's given all that up by supporting Trump. She supported every fucking thing he's done. Okay? So, like I said, it's very strange that, there are people out there who are still going to fall for the bullshit propaganda coming from the right-wing PACs, okay? From, big money's going into this campaign for her because they know that this guy's popular in the state, okay? And they're going to come down oh so fucking hard on him. They're going to come up with shit whether it's true or not. They're going to make up all kinds of stuff. All right, and it's up to you if you want to be a sucker or you want to just, understand why this is happening. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. This is really bullshit politics, and and a person that campaigns should be campaigning on their achievements. And since she really has none, and they decided to just go after him as character-wise, says that she ain't very confident that her message about what she accomplished years ago, okay, is going to help resonate with voters today, okay, because we know what she's been doing recently, and we're not happy with that. Let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you. Original.
Mr. President, a lot of questions have been raised about your health. Do you care to address them?
I'm in perfect health. I just got back from my daily visit to the hospital, and they said they'd never seen anyone this active and alive with my kind of numbers. They said I have the biggest numbers, the best numbers like you wouldn't believe.
I'm not sure I do believe them.
The fake news wants to make up stories. They can't stand how unbelievably healthy I am. They even said if I wasn't president, I should be playing professional football. That's how fit I am.
But your hands look like ham hocks.
Have you ever shaken hands with men, big, strong men?
Yes, fairly regularly.
Handsome, powerful men?
Well, I don't...
World leaders? These are men who are 6, 7, 8 feet tall.
Maybe not 8 feet tall.
They grab your hand and bing, bam, ping, ping.
We're still talking about handshakes, right?
It's like a cage fight. I deserve a medal for what I've done.
What about that neck rash, the nodding off in the meetings, and the incoherent rambling pretty much every time you speak?
Those are all common injuries for professional football players. It's a rough sport. Sometimes we take big shots or get concussions, but we do it because we love the game.
Sir, you're not actually playing football. You're the sitting president of the United States.
Well, then put me in, coach.
Follow us for daily satire and humor at Unsourced News.
Audio shock gear. You're up, baby. Let him run when he wants to run.
$250 candles, but the room feels cold. We used to sing in freedom, now we're bought and sold. No fireworks tonight, it can all just wait. We're not in the mood to celebrate. We raised a flag on hope, stitched in sacrifice. Now it's tangled up in power, greed, and lies. We taught the world what liberty could be. Now we barely recognize our own country. We were the dream calling across the sea. Now we're a wanted in history. So don't hand me a sparkler, don't pour me that wine. This don't feel like freedom on the 4th of July. You can dress it in a red, white, and blue all you want, but a house divided ain't a thing you flaunt. 250 years and we're standing here, trying to remember why we used to cheer. We'll celebrate again when the truth can stand. But tonight, this don't feel like our land. We shook hands with tyrants, turned our backs on friends, traded in our values for political ends, sent our sons and daughters into endless flame, while the ones in charge don't feel the blame. Middle class is drowning while the rich man flies, counting up his fortunes while the worker cries. Justice wears a blindfold, but it's slipping low. Now it sees exactly who it's meant to know. We were the light that others followed through. Now we're just shadows of the truth. We're not in the mood to celebrate. Not this year, not in this state. You can wave that flag till your arms go numb, but silence ain't the same as freedom won. 250 years and we're standing here with a cracked bell ringing in our ears. We'll celebrate again when the truth can stand. But tonight, this don't feel like our land. What's broken now don't mean it dies. Empires fall and people rise, and justice waits with patient eyes. We've been here before in darker days, when hope was just a spark in haze. And every time we lost our way, we fought our way good days. We're not in the mood to celebrate, but we're also not ready to abdicate. We'll take it back piece by piece till the noise gives way to peace. 250 years ain't the end of the line, it's a turning page in a harder time. We'll celebrate again when we make it right, and on that day we'll light up the night. Yeah, that day we'll sing like a country that remembers what it means.
DoorDash girl, the sneaky spy who brings the fries.
She delivers, she discovers, snap and share it all.
Press the crash out button and... I'm the victim! DoorDash girl, the villain next door.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, people. All right. Now, this little email thing I got here from this I'm subscribed to here. They said that Donald Trump put Brian Tyler Cohen on a enemies list for media offenders, which we should hear as Brian Tyler Cohen is saying a lot of truthful things, and Trump wants to shut him up, just like he's been trying to shut everybody else up. So people, Brian Tyler Cohen is somebody you need to listen to online, okay? Because if Trump hates him, you should like him, okay? Whatever Trump doesn't like, you gotta like, okay? All right, so he's mad because a lot of people are taking cues from this man, and he's having a fit there. Okay, let's see here. This story here from The Independent. It's written by Joe Summerlad, entitled "Trump Ballroom Donors Are Awarded $50 Billion in Taxpayer-Funded Contracts in the Last 6 Months." Taxpayer-funded. Everybody's wondering, where's all our money going? Okay, the swamp, people, the swamp. More than half of the 27 publicly identified donors to President Trump's $400 million White House ballroom have been awarded new or expanded federal contracts since construction work began, according to a watchdog report. 14 of the donors to Trump's pet project saw their government businesses grow in the first 6 months after he ordered the demolition of the East Wing, with the contract awards worth a combined $50 billion. This from a new analysis from Public Citizens revealed. Per the nonprofit, the largest individual recipient of new business over the course of the time period concerned was the defense giant Lockheed Martin, which has received approximately $43.8 billion in new or enhanced government business since the autumn. Other contributors to the ballroom who have also reportedly received new or improved deals for their services during the time frame include Bose Allen Hamilton, Palantir, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Caterpillar, and T-Mobile. Looking back further, 19 of the 27 corporations concerned have received a combined $338 billion in government contracts over the last 5.5 years, Public Citizens calculates. The organization further notes that 16 of the companies on the published donor list have previously been accused of wrongdoing by federal agencies and faced enforcement actions, which in some cases have been suspended by Trump's administrations since he returned to office in January of last year. Quote, "These giant corporations aren't funding the Trump ballroom fiasco out of the goodness of their hearts," unquote, said John Gollinger, Public Citizens public policy advocate and the author of its Ballroom Billions report. Quote, "They have massive interests before the federal government, and they hope to curry favor with and receive favorable treatment from the Trump administration," unquote. White House spokesman Davis Ingle hit out at the watchdog's claims, telling The Independent, quote, "The same critics who are alleging fake conflicts of interest would also complain if American taxpayers were footing the bill for these long overdue renovations." Quote, "The donors for the White House Ballroom project represent a wide array of great American companies and generous individuals, all of whom are contributing to make the People's House better for generations to come." Earlier this year, the same nonprofit challenged the appointment of 3 members of the Trump administration to the National Capital Planning Commission, which makes key decisions pertaining to the project, arguing they were not legally qualified to assume their roles. Ingle previously defended the appointments to The Independent, saying, quote, "President Trump has an incredible eye and appreciation for the arts and only selects the most talented and qualified people possible. These individuals possess a wealth of experience that reflects the values of everyday Americans and President Trump's vision to make America great again." Boy, let's talk about an ass kisser. Progress on the building of the ballroom slowed earlier this year when a federal judge ruled that work must stop until Congress has voted to authorize it. However, a 3-judge federal appeals panel has since allowed it to resume while the legal wrangling proceeds. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit is hearing the case Friday. Trump complained on Lie Social Thursday that the holdup was, quote, "highly damaging to our country," unquote, having the ballroom, highly damaging to our country, not having, Jesus Christ, having repeatedly made the argument that the current entertaining arrangements for his guests are inadequate and not secure, pressing the case after a gunman attempted to storm the White House Correspondents' Dinner at the Washington Hilton in April. The ballroom, quote, "is coming along fantastically well. It's on time and under budget. It is desperately needed and will be very special." It probably is under budget, but who's getting the extra? Okay. You know what I'm saying? Who's pocketing the extra here? While the president may be passionate about the undertaking, it remains deeply unpopular with the American public, with just 1 in 3 respondents to a late April Washington Post ABC News poll expressing support. Just 1 in 3. 1 in 3. Nobody wants their tax money to go to this, especially at a time when, you know, people need health care, they need help with getting the basics, gas prices going up, and no, we need to have a ballroom, and by Jesus, it better be safe when we go. You know what I'm saying? This is the priority of this president. It's not about us like he promised when he was campaigning. No, nothing he's done has been for us or to make America great again. It's about soaking up as much wealth as he can soak up while he's in there and using the money for things that are not what that they appear to be. Believe me, These people making donations expected returns for their money, okay? They just did happily and cheerily give away millions of dollars to this fucking project. Most of these people probably don't even like Trump, and they only did it probably because he promised to do something for them in return, even though he denies it. Never believe a fucking thing that man says. So, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, somebody wrote, if the Clintons and Bidens were really investigated, they would put the mafia to shame. You see, a fucking Republican here who thinks that none of this is that bad. Okay, that's amazing how even after we've seen the damage that Trump has done to this country, they still want to reflect back on Clinton and all them like they were worse than Trump. Really? If these people probably aren't even my age, okay? Because if they had lived through those years, they would know how full of shit they are. If you put a convicted felon in charge of your country, you should not be surprised if his corruption escalates when he has access to greater things, resources. Yeah, that's right. Okay, and that was the kind of thing we were trying to warn people about when he was running for president, is that we know he's corrupted. We know he's done things that warrant charges, okay? He's never been honest about his earnings and stuff, always trying to, dodge taxes. Now, you give him the access and the power of the White House after he's never been punished for the wrongdoing he's done. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to rip that fucking thing off every which way he can. And I can tell you right now, people, the money that we thought we had in the fucking treasury, that's probably almost gone now, thanks to him. And that's in the hands of a lot of billionaires in this country, okay? And maybe outside the country too. And a lot of money in their hands too. Because the things that he does, the things that he tells us that he's doing, isn't always what they appear to be on the surface. There's always something under it. And that's why we're doing it. But he ain't going to tell you the truth. Even though he says, I'm going to be the most transparent president. I mean, that was a joke. He ain't been that ever. Okay? He ain't transparent at all. And you guys you're still getting hosed all the fucking time. And you should be out on the streets with pitchforks and torches going after the fucking White House. I mean, he's ripping you off and you guys don't know it, okay? The damage a lot of you people haven't been impacted yet from it, but the time's going to come where you're going to start to feel it and you're going to wonder, why is this happening? Okay? A lot of people have already come to that point, and now they're like, what can I do, to save myself? And there's not many options here, Trump's taken away a lot of options for people to weather this fucking storm he's created. And that's for, because he wants that money to go to something else, someone else, or whatever the hell it is. I feel bad because, everything that we've all depended on, safety nets in this country, they're being clipped and clipped and clipped. And yet these Republicans feel like they still deserve to be put back in power. They still feel like, they tell us that they're the answer for our country's problems. Really? They've been saying that for years, and look now that they got control of the government as a whole, and look what they've done to us. Okay? This right here is the moment people should always remember. Whenever some Republican says, I want to do this for you, and don't believe it. Don't believe it for a fucking minute. Don't be stupid. And there's no comparison between the two parties. When you look at the things Democrats have done throughout their time as in government, they've accomplished more stuff for the working class than the Republicans ever did. Okay, that's true. You can do if you have the balls to do your own homework on that, you'll be surprised at what Democrats have done for you. Okay. So, this other article here from the AP. It's written by Michael Casey, entitled, A Federal Judge Strikes Down Trump Administration Immigration Policy Affecting 39 Countries. A federal judge on Friday struck down a Trump administration policy enacted after the shooting of 2 National Guard members that made it harder for immigrants from dozens of countries to stay and enter the United States. In a ruling harshly criticizing the administration, U.S. District Chief Judge John McConnell Jr. said the policy, quote, threw the lives of countless immigrants living in the United States into indeterminate legal limbo, unquote, and he accused the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services of ignoring the law. Quote, in enacting its latest immigration policies, USCIS claims statutory and regulatory authority that it does not possess, makes decisions without the reasoned explanations that it must provide, acts without regard for the reliance interests of applicants that it must consider, and justifies its actions with pretextual concerns of national security that mask anti-immigrant sentiments, that it is forbidden from letting influence its decision-making, unquote, he wrote. Quote, in legal terms, that means USCIS's actions are contrary to law and arbitrary and capricious, unquote. Let's see. Whoops. What's this goddamn thing? Okay, the policies enacted after the National Guard shooting last year meant that immigrants from 39 African, Asian, Latin American, and Middle Eastern countries have been, quote, categorically barred, unquote, from receiving final decisions on, among other things, their asylum, work permit, green card, and citizenship applications. Quote, this ruling reaffirms a basic principle: the federal government cannot shut down lawful immigration pathways or discriminate against people based on where they are from, unquote, said Sky Perryman, president and CEO of Democracy Forward, which represented the plaintiffs in the case. Quote, these unlawful policies caused enormous harm to families, workers, asylum seekers, and communities across the country who were left in limbo, unable to work, access protections, or move forward with their lives. Policies apply to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, which approves applications for immigrants to work and become citizens. The agency, which is within the Homeland Security Department, often grants asylum, but only for those already in the United States when they apply. Immigration judges grant asylum to those stopped at the border. The ruling does not affect them, nor do the policies that sparked the lawsuit. The broad ruling would impact all pending cases at the USCIS involving people from the travel ban countries, not just those included in the lawsuit. Shev Dalal Dehani, Senior Director of Government Relations at the American Immigration Lawyers Association, quote, it is an important legal victory to ensure that legal immigration pathways remain open and that USCIS is held accountable to doing their congressionally mandated job of adjudicating applications, unquote, she said. It is part of an ongoing effort by the administration to tighten U.S. entry standards for travel and immigration, which critics say unfairly prevent travel for people from a broad range of countries. The administration suggested it would expand the restrictions after the arrest of an Afghan national suspect in the shooting of 2 National Guard troops over Thanksgiving weekend. In its motion to dismiss, which the court denied, the government argued that Congress gave the executive branch broad authority over immigration policy, including, quote, the entry of aliens into the United States, as well as discretion within the statutory scheme to confer as well as withdraw various discretionary benefits, unquote. Quote, this case rests on a remarkable premise that a federal court should prevent an agency from issuing the very policy guidance that provides government personnel with the guardrails necessary to ensure consistent, non-arbitrary, and individualized decision-making consistent with federal law, unquote, the government wrote in its brief. Immigration groups celebrated the ruling. Quote, this ruling sets a powerful precedent that the administration cannot ignore the laws laid down by Congress and cannot arbitrarily bar immigration benefits on the basis of national origin by fiat, unquote. Jamal Abdi, president of the National Iranian American Council, said, quote, fortunately, this is still a nation of laws, and those who uphold Americans' values have recourse to challenge and push back on such discriminatory arbitrary policies. Sean Vandiver, a Navy veteran who heads a coalition that supports Afghan resettlement efforts called Afghan EVAC, said the ruling was a significant, quote, significant victory for the rule of law and for thousands of Afghan allies and other immigrants who followed every requirement asked of them, unquote. Quote, just this week in Dallas and Fort Worth, we met people who feared losing jobs because delayed work permit renewals threatened their livelihoods, families, and postponed education, travel, and home ownership because they did not know when their cases would be resolved, and future Americans who had expected to become citizens only to see their application stall without explanation, unquote, Vandiver said. Yeah, so again, this is another example of Trump trying to do something that he doesn't have the power to do, and, you know, fortunately there was some pushback to remind him, no, you can't do that, okay, that's, you know, you can't ignore the laws that have already been set there. And this thing, obviously, like one of the very first comment here to that story says, said this, they need to go to their own country. Well, what do you make of that? That's obviously a racist, okay? That's one of those people that voted for Trump because he promised he was going to clear out the country of all the foreigners, right? They need to go to their own country. It's like, well, they can go to their own country if they want, but while they're here, they shouldn't be, you know, scooped up and sent back over there against the rules of our government here. And what have they done in this country to piss you off so much? Carlo P., okay? What have they done to deserve your ire? Really? You know, I mean, it seems to me like, you know, you take the actions of a few people who were in this country, illegally or not, that they might have broke some law or something, and you're taking that and generalizing the whole bunch of them from that, okay? And it might not even be, you know, as widespread as you think it is, because, you know, Fox News and people on the right have told you that, oh, because this one person did it, they're all bad. Trump himself, they're going to eat your cats and dogs, okay? He made it okay to think in general terms. He made it okay for you to be a racist, okay? And so whenever somebody's trying to deport people against the rules of what we've got set out, oh, you're not unhappy with that because you think it doesn't affect you, okay? Until they tweak the law again, and then they decide they're going to export anybody they don't like, okay? That could be white, black, Hispanic, you know, whatever. Okay, then what are you going to say? You know, if you don't draw the line in the sand and hold to it, you're going to let somebody like Trump, who's really a person who doesn't care about laws or the government, you're going to let somebody like him walk all over your ass. Okay? So don't be stupid. Don't be selfish. Don't think that, you know, it's nothing he does is going to affect you. Don't think like that, because you're stupid if you do. It's already happening. A lot of people who've supported Trump don't support him anymore now because their lives, their personal lives have been affected by the very fucking things that he was trying to say only they would be affected. Now it's affecting everybody else now. Okay? So if you're still on that fucking plateau where you're going to say they need to go to their own country, then you're really the idiot that's still asleep and don't realize what the hell's going on. You need to wake up and realize that denying some people freedoms and stuff like that only leads to other people getting theirs taken away if nobody stands up to it, and eventually yours. That's what happens. Okay, this article here from NBC. Okay. Entitled, Pentagon Raised Threat of Israel Spying on U.S. to Highest Level, Sources Are Saying. The Pentagon is increasingly concerned about Israel ramping up its spying on the U.S., recently raising the counterintelligence threat level from America's top ally in the Middle East to the highest level, according to 2 U.S. officials and 1 former U.S. official. The Pentagon's Defense Intelligence Agency in recent weeks issued the new counterintelligence threat assessment amid rising tensions between Israel and the U.S. over the way forward in the war with Iran, the officials say. They said the DIA posted an internal message viewed by one of the current officials that raised the level for Israel to critical. Yeah, well, that should go without saying, right? Israel wants to make sure that the United States stays allied to them during this shit. They're worried that the momentum in this country against them is, coming to a head here, and that this election, the midterms that are coming up, could change everything with that. That's why they're sending spies into this country. They want to see what's going on here. Okay. I'm not so sure they really trust Trump. We certainly shouldn't trust Netanyahu. And I just feel like, hey, these are not really allies to us. These people just want our weapons, they want our soldiers, they want our military. That's all they want from us. Okay? And if the people's opinion in this country turns against that arrangement, they're going to be pissed. But like I said, why should we feel obligated to help them with something they started? Okay? For something that's been going on way before most of you people watching this were even born. Okay? Why should our country be dragged into that? What obligation? I mean, did we make an agreement to them or something saying we're always going to protect you or something? I mean, I just don't think that the United States ought to just blindly give loyalty to them no matter what they do. I don't. I mean, we have to have some kind of standard, right? Like, yeah, we'll ally ourselves with countries that, believe in principles that are equal to ours, that won't go around starting wars everywhere. I mean, we don't ally ourselves, we never have, with the Soviet Union or Russia, right? Why is that? Why don't we ally ourselves with them? Why don't we ally ourselves with, why never we allied ourselves with Iraq? Okay? We have standards. Okay? You got to meet these standards if you want us to be your friend. But Israel, they've turned dark, okay? That country has gone dark. And they're becoming as bad as the other countries that we won't ally ourselves with, and yet we still feel obligated to have to protect them or help them fight their fucking battles. That is something I don't understand. When the sentiment in this country is so much against our country helping them out, and the government is still helping them, you see what happens when a government no longer listens to its people? What's happening here is the same shit that's happening in Russia. Okay? You got a government over there that's not listening to the plight of the people that they're supposed to be there for. Okay? They're constantly sucking whatever money they can get out of the people. The people are not working over there. They're not getting paid. A lot of these folks in the jobs over there in Russia, they're getting IOUs from the fucking companies they work for, but they're still working there, and they're not, you know what I'm saying? The government doesn't care about the people. They've been taking all their money and they're fighting Ukraine, okay, and they're doing all this stuff in Ukraine, and they're not gaining any fucking ground, okay? It's costing them everything. They're losing their country as they continue this fight. What makes Putin think that they're not eventually going to turn on him when people have had it up to here? Okay? So when a government no longer listens to its people, you're going to end up in the same boat they are. Okay? We're going to end up in the same boat they are. And I don't think anybody wants this country to end up like that. We don't like it where it is now. People don't even want to celebrate this country's birthday because it doesn't represent what this country was supposed to be, where we are now. It's completely deranged. Okay, this is a dystopian America. This is not the America the founders hoped that we would turn this place into. Okay, it's gone bad. It's gone south, people. It's gotten sour. So we don't feel like we deserve this fucking 250th anniversary. Okay, you got people who were supposed to line up and play music for Trump or some goddamn thing. They're all turning their back on that, and it's pissing him off to no end. Nobody feels like this is a time to be celebrating anything about this country because it's falling apart. It's like that movie, The Towering Inferno. You ever see that movie? It's from I think it's from the 70s. The opening day of that fucking building. And because they cut corners and they used inferior, methods and materials to build this fucking beautiful building, it catches fire on opening night, kills all kinds of people. Okay. And they were trying to celebrate, oh, we got a new building, it's beautiful, the tallest in the world. Well, that's kind of where we are right now. We're the Towering Inferno, okay? They're trying to make us celebrate the greatest country in the world while the fucking wiring is all catching fire and everything and the whole building, okay? We don't have time to celebrate a goddamn thing until we correct the mess we made, and then we can think about celebrating. But right now, the 4th of July, all these fucking Memorial Days and all this stuff, nobody's really that into that this year, okay? Forget it. This 250 is going to come and go, and no one's even going to remember it, okay? All they're going to remember is the bad times. That's all that's going to dominate. Trump can sit there and pretend like, oh, it's such a great time. He can do his showboating like he's good at, okay? Like what he learned from being part of wrestling all those years, okay? He can continue to do what he wants, but everybody's going to look at him like he's a clown. They're going to look at him and say, they're going to shake their head and say, this guy's a fucking idiot, okay? He's living in denial. He's fucked the country up and he thinks it's great. But he's mad because nobody agrees with that vision of his. Nobody sees the way things are, the way he sees it. No one's seeing what he sees. They're seeing all different. And that's pissing him off more than anything. That's why he's up 2-3 o'clock in the fucking morning putting 50 fucking posts on his stupid lie social page. Okay? He's worse than Fox News. I mean, he fucking propagandizes himself. Okay? I mean, what kind of a mental problem is that where a person can tell a lie and then make himself believe it? I mean, I don't know. It's a very strange man, a very strange man indeed. I mean, we didn't really know how strange he was until he got into politics, and boy, did we find out more than we ever wanted to know about this guy. I'll tell you, if he'd have stayed a private citizen, doing his stupid bullshit on the outside, I think he probably would have died and people would have had a better opinion of him, not knowing all the shit we know about him and the Epstein crap. Okay. People would have lived in ignorance of this guy and probably appreciated him more. But now that he put himself out there under the very big spotlight that politics is, we're seeing all sides of this man. And I'm telling you, we are not happy with what we see here. Okay, at least those who want to see. The rest of us, you're doing what Trump does. You're living in your own little reality. But for the most of us who are being impacted by this guy, we're seeing a very dark, fucking miserable old bastard, okay? And we want to split away our ties from him as quickly as possible because he's killing us all. All right, people are dying right now because of Medicare cuts and stuff like that. Okay, because he's taking that money for his fucking war over in Iran and whatever the hell else he's doing with it, the ballroom. Okay, billions of dollars. I mean, why would a ballroom cost that much unless he's using the most expensive? Oh, you know what I'm saying? There's ridiculous reasons to have that. There's no reason why they couldn't continue to do things that they've been doing. Okay, that they need to have a fucking ballroom. What the hell? I mean, we think we're living in a kingdom or something. I mean, everybody used to get mad at John F. Kennedy. What was it, Camelot and all that stuff? Well, isn't that kind of what Trump is doing right now? He's trying to make his regime look like Camelot. You know what I'm saying? So where are these people now who clicked their tongues and bitched and shook their head at John F. Kennedy for doing, now it's Trump doing it, and it's, don't bother them any. Your money being spent on that. Are you going to be invited to go to these fucking balls? Are you going to be able to ever see the inside of that fucking place when it's finished? Your money's in there, but, you don't even realize he took it out of your wallet. Jeez. Okay? I don't care the donors gave money, but I know they gave more than they should have. and he's taking their extra. They said he's way under budget. They don't say how much under budget, but they're saying he's built it under. Yeah, the surplus he's keeping for himself. Jeez. I don't know. This is the biggest con artist that this country, or maybe even the world, has ever seen. I don't know. I don't know every con artist that ever came and went throughout time, but Trump certainly ranks up there as probably one of the top, at least the top 10. Okay, he is a masterful con artist, because he pulled the wool over a lot of people's eye to get where he is, and he's still doing it. I mean, maybe not as many people believe him now because they've been fucked by his con, but there's still people believing the shit, you know. And they used to get mad at people that believed in UFOs, and yet they believe in Donald Trump. Which do you think is worse here? All right, everybody. That's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So subscribe, comment, share. Keep your ears open for health issues, and treat each other nice out there. Try to help one another out through these hard times, okay? Because everybody's going to need it at some point, even you. So don't be afraid to help. I'll talk to you guys later.